In this video, I want to share with you a trick that has really helped me unlock new musical landscapes and dimensions on multiple things like the guitar, the push 2, and the OP1 with some synth stuff going on. And I just want to share with you some of these big insights that will really help unlock new uncharted territories for you with your music making. So the essence of a lot of the tricks I'll be showing you revolves around exotic scales and this idea of modal mixture as well as modal modulation. And the whole key behind this is to be able to access advanced harmony without necessarily having to theorize it or think about it, and just allow yourself to discover the sound in a more organic way. All right, so in Ableton, I have 3 tracks set up, one of them being a kind of quasi piano sound that I'll be playing with my push 2. I also got this kind of gnarly bass synth sound on the OP1. And of course, I have a guitar plugged in over here that we'll look at in just a bit. So to start off, let's go with the push 2 and looking at the hands. All right, so let's start off by just looking at the push 2 and talking about a few exotic scales that are really fun to play with. So we're going to be talking about what is called Mixolyidan. And if you have no idea what Mixolyidan is, no worries. I've created a whole other video going over modes in depth, as well as just general basics of music theory that I will link in the card above. We're essentially taking the major scale and we're flattening this 7. So we're lowering the 7th by half a step. So it sounds something like this. It's a really fun scale. You get this kind of dominant chord sound. So the first thing we're going to do to explore an exotic scale is to just flatten the 6 of this Mixolyidan scale. So we have our Mixolyidan scale here. And we're going to take this 6 and we're going to flatten it half a step. Okay, so you can see this as Mixolyidan flat 6. So the fun thing about this scale is that the bottom half is very strong and major sounding as normal, but the top half is a little bit more exotic. And the chords can be really fun to play with when you have like a major 1 and you go up to this minor 4 and maybe you go down to this diminished second. You can get some really cool textures in playing with this. So I've just added a bit of delay and a bit of reverb for fun to the sound, and really playing around with the 1 chord, which is a major 1, and then moving to this minor 4, you can really play around with some really cool textures by moving the bass from the 1 to the 4, throwing in a few other notes. So it can sound something like this if you anchor to the 1 and maybe move up to the minor 4 and then back to the 1 and just play around with that scale. You can also think of this scale as a minor scale with a raised third or a major third, right? So here's our minor scale. And it's simply that scale, but with a major third instead. Another fun trick with this scale is to hide that major third as you're jamming and really use it as a strong resolution point when you come back to the major 1 chord. Okay, so it could sound something like this. Here's our major third. So we're going to avoid playing that note and then just bring it back in when we resolve back to the 1, okay? This exotic scale is also super fun to play around with when you play around with the diatonic triads in the scale. So the 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is diminished, 3 chord is diminished, 4 chord is minor, 5 chord is minor, and the 6th chord is actually augmented, so this is a weird one. And then 7th chord is major. So another quick trick that I want to show you that's related to the same kind of musical idea is to have a repeating theme almost on loop and play around with changing the bass note to color it in a different way. So let me show you that real quick. All right, so I'm back to the hands here and I'm just going to record a quick loop on this piano. Very simple, just going from the root to the fifth. Okay, something very simple. And let's get that in. Just going to quantize it, turn off the metronome. All right, so I'm going to loop that idea and I have this bass sound on the OP1. It sounds like this. So I've snuck out my OP1 down here and I'll be playing bass notes on here. And I'm just going to play different bass notes underneath this repeating motif and listen to how it colors it differently. So we'll start with maybe a minor kind of progression. Then maybe I'll land to the major third. And then we can play with some chromatic stuff like the sharp 4. See how that sits. An extra little tip when playing around with this kind of idea is you can actually add in an extra note to color that repeating motif in line with whatever bass note feels right with you. So I'll show you that real quick. So when I hit play here, you'll be able to see the repeating motif, which is just the root fifth. But as I play with the bass note, I'll play around with different notes to add in things to the motif to align with the color that's coming up with the new bass note. So just the interaction of a bass note along with something that's doing the voice leading above your motif, you can get a really cool combination of really advanced harmony without really knowing what's going on. So I can demonstrate you something I came up with really quickly just by playing around with this idea. And the final trick I want to show you around the idea of modal mixture and modulation in an easy way is going to be with the guitar and movable shapes, as well as playing over a repeating motif like we just did. All right, so I have a close-up shot of my guitar with just a clean tone on it. It sounds like this. And I want to show you how moving a simple shape up and down the guitar, as well as being aware of what type of chord shapes match certain modes, can really help you create progressions that follow that idea of modal mixture, that really have a more kind of interesting harmonic layout to them. So one super useful thing I found on the guitar is to know some chord shapes that really scream out and point towards a specific mode or a specific sound. So let me show you a few of those. All right, so here's a couple cool voicings on guitar that really paint a picture between major and minor. Okay, so here is a major voicing, which basically has a major seventh in it, as well as the major third. And then here is a really nice minor voicing that has that suspended fourth in it. Okay, and just modulating between these two chords on the same root note can really help you paint a landscape of a modulating chord progression that has a little bit more harmonic interest than just staying in the same key all the time. Okay, so I'm just going to record these two chords in a loop over our existing motif. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and record it. All right, now with that loop recorded, I'm going to just play some lead lines over these loops and alternate between a major scale and a Dorian scale and really accentuate the differences between those chords. And it can really give you some cool ideas for melodies and progressions and anything of that nature. Another super useful thing on guitar is to use movable shapes and use what is called a pedal tone. So basically, if I have a shape on the guitar, I can move this around and have a pedal tone underneath, and it will really accentuate, again, modal interchange. Okay, so I'll show you a few examples of that. And hey, if you're just getting started with music production and feeling completely overwhelmed by the process, or if you've been at this for a while, but you're not getting the results that you want out of the speakers or the consistency of output that you're looking for with your music, I've created a brand new free masterclass called How to Master the 3 Secrets of the Creative Process that will help you create more music, finish radio-ready releases, and really help you unlock your own creative process, unlock your own artistic genius. I've jam-packed it full of actionable insights that I've learned on my 10+ year journey in producing music, audio engineering, mixing, all of that stuff. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can find it in the description below. If you got value out of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to stay in tune for the next MetaMind Music transmission, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And yeah, that wraps it up for this video. I hope it was useful to help you see how you can play around with advanced musical ideas with just very simple starting point. And if there's any of these ideas that you'd like me to go deeper on, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And with that said, I will leave you and love you, and I will see you in the next video.